Baker. I'm Maria. It's fall, y'all. That will be the only time you ever heard me use the word y'all, but I think it's cute. I like to call it pumpkin season, and anything pumpkin I'm in. I'm going to make a pumpkin cinnamon bun, and it's going to have pumpkins and pecans and goodness through and through. If you like pumpkin as much as me, you find it very hard to turn down. It is probably my favorite vegetable out there throughout the whole year. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between fresh pumpkin versus canned pumpkin and why you'll choose canned, believe it or not, right? Doesn't make sense. Before I go on, I want to touch on something. I get a lot of comments. When you guys comment on my stuff and when you email me, I sit and I just enjoy that little visit, and I really take to heart your compliments, and I thank you, and your comments. I have issues apparently with my volume. Let me kind of tell you just real quick how YouTube life is on this side of the camera. So I do a video. My videos, it's never just like click, go through the whole thing, click, it's off. I've got a lot of little segments, and you don't want to see me washing the dishes that I'm using and putting them away. So while something's baking, who wants that? So on my phone, and that's all I'm using. So I click a video like this one right here, and now I'm going to stop. I'm back. Now I have, in my videos, I have a bunch of little segments that I can put in any order I need to. If there's one piece here where it's in parts, okay? Like let's say I'm gonna make a cheesecake, and I'm gonna make the crust, and then I'm gonna make the filling, and then I'm gonna make the topping. So I'll make the crust ahead of time. And in the process, I could have been making the topping or something else in the meantime. When it comes time to editing, I kind of put it all in order so that you can see how it's laid out rightly. My volume on my phone is all the way up. Every individual section that I put in order has an option to adjust the volume. I always click it on the highest, every single one. And when there's music, that goes on high too. So when I send it out, I'm thinking, okay, the volume is good. And then somewhere along in the cosmos, the volume dies. So I don't know. I'm thinking, well, how do I fix that? So I got a little mic because it really does matter to me that you guys know that I hear you and pay attention to it. So I hope that by the time you're watching this is the trick, and we're good to go, and we're gonna be able to, you'll be able to hear me. Not something I've ever had an issue with. People is like, yeah, you could turn your volume down a little bit. It's like, in life. So, anyway, that's what's that. I'm ready to play, okay? So, I've talked to you about mise en place, things in place, putting your things in order. So, I'm gonna kind of show you exactly how my mise en place is staged and set up. Okay, so I have my list of ingredients and my recipe, and this was just, copied down in order. And it's going to be in 3 parts. I've got my yeast, my filling, and my dough. Okay, so the first thing I know for my yeast, I'm going to use water, milk, yeast, and sugar. So I have measured out the water and milk. The yeast is there, and the sugar is there. So that part's done. For my dough, it's going to have flour, pumpkin, melted butter, vanilla, and then some spices that I have already set out. That's set aside. And then for my filling, I've got sugars, brown sugar, nuts, spices, and butter. So they're already set out, and I go and I get my recipe, and I check off as I place them down. Okay, water, done. Milk, done. yeast, done. With a bowl, okay. And then everything else that I'm going to need. So that's how you put your mise en place. And you'll find that it makes things so much easier. And I put everything on a cookie sheet. And when I have a lot of things, I'll put several cookie sheets going, because then I know if it's on here, I'm not going to forget it. Okay, there's two things I didn't have on my cookie sheet, but that's just because they're big. I'm going to need a bowl with a cloth to cover it so it can rise, and then I'm going to need a baking dish to bake it in. Makes sense, right? So I'm presetting my oven to 375. It's going to be a quick bake, and I'm ready to play. So I'm going to talk like I usually do. That I have some new subscribers. So first off, thank you all so much for joining me. I really love you. So here you are also going to learn that I fumble all over the place. Oh well. All right, so let's get this going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I've got my quarter cup of warm water and a half a cup of milk. And I've warmed them both together. The warmth and the sugar, I've got a tablespoon of sugar. That's going to go in there. And I need a spoon. Sugar's going to dissolve pretty quickly. The sugar is what's going to feed the yeast. And I'm just going to cover the top. Yeast is such an interesting ingredient to work with. I'm going to let it sit. What's going to happen is the yeast is here. Let me talk to you. The yeast is going to grab onto the sugar, and it's going to eat it like Pac-Man, and then it's going to get puffy, and that's called blooming. The yeast is going to bloom. That means it's what I'm trying to think. Someone else called it something. Whatever. It puffs. It gets puffy. It gets swollen. And you'll see that. And so you just let it sit for about 5 minutes or so. You don't want hot liquid. You just need it warm. It's bacteria, so it's going to just do well in warm environment. So I'm just going to let it sit. In the meantime, let's play with the filling. All right, so I'm going to chop up. These are the toasted pumpkin seeds. I'm going to chop up a cup of seeds. And that's great for garnishing, so keep that in mind. And then half a cup of pecans. And I don't really want this too small because it looks really cool when it's, you know, in the roll. But just a slight chop, but because there's so many of them, it's going to take a minute. Pumpkin seeds are one of my absolute most favorite addicting snacks. And I'm really not looking to chop all of them. I just want it to roll easier. And if they're too big, they won't have a nice roll to it. I'm good with that. And a half a cup of pecans. Also, so you know while I'm chopping this, I want to tell you, you can keep, and you should keep your pecans in the refrigerator or the freezer. They will go stale if you don't use them. This is so yummy. I'm going to show you the blooming yeast. Kind of looks like a brain. Let me see if I can pick it up. I don't want to move it a lot, but I'll show you. Well, you can see it. Let's see. See that? Kind of looks like a brain, doesn't it? All right, that's it. I'm not going to move it again. So here we are. That's really good. So I'm going to take the nuts. Put them in a bowl. I've got, let's see, what do I have here? Half a cup of brown sugar. No, I'm sorry, my apologies. A quarter of a cup. 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And when you use brown sugar, you want to pack it. It gets really concentrated. And if you see the, and then you break it up. But if you see pieces that are dark like that, and if it's soft, break it apart, because that's the molasses. You want that. If it's too hard, yay oven. If it's too hard, then don't. It won't dissolve. So, yeah, that's it. And then a 1/4 cup of regular sugar. Now here I have cinnamon, a tablespoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 cup of clove. It's right here actually. I'm just going to grate it. A teaspoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of ginger. 1, 2, 3, and then the clove. And the clove, I for this I do like using just fresh clove, and I'd use almost half a nut. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And this is one of those, a little goes a long way. Boy, is that ever the case. And mix it up. Once the dough is stretched out, this is going to get sprinkled on. So we're going to actually smear some soft butter. And I've got about a 1/4, I got a stick of soft butter. This one I'm going to play by ear. Sometimes I use a lot of it, sometimes I only use 1/3 of it. So that's it. This is the inside of, this is the filling. And then we'll put that aside. And we'll start with the, yeah, it's blooming pretty good. Can you see it? Yeah, I'm not going to touch it. So let me get the other stuff together. Okay, so you need oil to go inside the bowl that you're going to rest your dough in. So as it's resting, you don't want it to stick because it's going to get very gummy. So you're going to coat your bowl with a little bit of oil, and that way it won't stick. I'm just going to, you really don't need a lot. It's just for the sake. Yeah, it's not going to go this high. But what if? No, that's it, and let it sit. You want to do the same thing for your baking dish, but use butter. Butter's going to it's better. Butter is better. Aside from the sugar in the yeast, which is only, I think I said a tablespoon, and a little bit of sugar in the filling, it's really, surprisingly, there's not a lot. That's it. That's all the sugar. Not that it makes it healthier by any means, but I'm good with that sugar. Okay, so there's the bloom. See how it changed? It looks so cool. All right, so we're going to get our mixer with the paddle attachment, and we're going to put in our yeast. And yeah, I want it all. All right, in here, we're going to add 1/2 cup of pumpkin. Now, why am I going to use the canned pumpkin? As much as I love the squash itself, This is already prepared. I mean, it is pureed, it's cooked. You could eat it right like this if you wanted to. And it's seasoned. So it already has nutmeg and spices and whatnot in it. So it is ready to go. And the fresh pumpkin, okay, so it's fresh pumpkin, and yay for that. But it still requires a lot more work to get it to this stage. So with the pumpkin, I've also got a 1/4 cup of melted butter. And then I've got a teaspoon of salt. Can you see it all? A teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And I use the ground nutmeg for this one. And that all goes in there. I'm going to put in a dash of vanilla. And 2 cups of flour. And I'm just going to put it all in together. And then just on slow. Until it becomes gummy. It's not going to be a ball, but that's right about where I want it. All right. I'm going to put it onto a floured countertop and knead it a little bit. All right, so I've got some flour, and I always keep a generous supply just because this is not something you want to stick to your tabletop or your countertop. All right. It's very gummy, it's very gunky. And you're thinking you did something wrong, but if it turns out like this, you're right on target, baby. It's exactly what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to turn it over. And I need to knead this. Yeah, I know. All right. Plenty of flour, don't worry about it. Your hands are gonna get messy. It's so soft. It's perfect. Believe it or not, your hands will come clean. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. So what kind of consistency are you looking for, right? So you definitely don't want this. You want to make sure that this all goes away. This is exactly why I always make sure we have our hands washed. Because it's messy. We're getting our hands into food. And it's going to start to become elastic. That's what you want. You want it to be able to hold what you need it to do. I have always loved kneading dough. All right, so this is one of those where it's boring now, so let me go finish up, get some more flour as I need it, and I'll be back. Okay, this feels good. It's good to the touch. My hands aren't, it's not sticking in my hands. And then when I poke into it, it starts to come up. That's what we want. So I'm going to get my bowl, my oiled bowl, and I'm going to just set it in there and cover it. That's it. Now I'm going to put this by the, hold on one second. Let me see. I'm going to put this by the oven, not on it, but by the oven, because it's going to sit here for about half an hour to an hour until it doubles in size. So you'll see this turn bigger, and then it's time to roll it out to this. Okay, we're ready to go. It's a bit bigger. It maybe not this way, but you can see it here, and it's not sticky. It's nice and soft. It's cool, so I know that it wasn't too close to the oven. So I'm going to sprinkle my counter with plenty of flour, and then I'm going to roll it out. Now when I roll it out, first off, going back to the heat. The heat, again, with the yeast, it feeds off of sugar and warmth. So you want to keep it in a warm place, not cool and dry. So you want to keep it in a warm place so that it can double in size. So I'm going to sprinkle my counter, and when I roll this out, I'm going to move it a lot because I don't want it to stick. I need it to be convenient and roll and whatnot. So it's not what I'm looking for, stickiness. So let's go play. All right. I think that might be a better angle for you. And you also want to make sure to flour your rolling pin. Yeah, that works. All right. Oh, wow, it's so light. All right. You punch it down. All righty. You know what, and don't worry about it, not being a perfect rectangle kind of thing. Don't worry about stuff like that. Nothing goes bad here. So you want to start in the middle and then go away. Start in the middle and then come towards you. Whatever it is, you're just going to start in the middle. And this is going to end up on me. I just know it. See how pliable that is? Oh, so nice. Pumpkin smells amazing. So okay, so you want to try to aim for a rectangle. Okay, so rather than just only doing forward and backward, tilt it, squeeze it, aim it, direct it. You tell it where you want it to go. You really can't ruin it at this stage, It's just, you're in charge. And if you need to, this will work too. For the longest time, this is how I stretched out my dough because I just never got around to getting a rolling pin. It worked. I made tons of things with it. All right, so this is about, gosh, I don't even know what we're looking at. So maybe about 10 by 15. I'm just going to go with that as a number. Don't worry about it. Just do whatever is going to work for you. Now, I'm going to put Sorry. Sorry, I wasn't ready. I'm going to smear some soft butter on it. I don't really want cold butter, and I don't want melted butter, but I'm going to start off with a lot of butter. In fact, I'm going to use mi manos. I know, what a sight. Yeah, this is definitely not what you want for your diet, but there we go. All right, so then I have my mixture that I made earlier with the nuts and sugar, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it all over. And I am gonna use all of it, so now you don't want to go all the way to the end because you're gonna you're gonna try to pinch the ends together to make them stick. But this sugar is going to melt, and it's going to caramelize. And it's going to just be delicious. You know, it's funny, the smell that's getting me the most right now is that little bit of clove. Isn't that interesting? All right, so I'm going to roll this way. So I'm going to bring this as close as I can, because that's going to be the very, very inside of the pinwheel. All right, and then you just pick it up and roll it. There was a little tear in here. No one, no one is going to know that, so don't worry about stuff like that happening. Now, when I make regular cinnamon rolls, you know what? I should have put some little chocolate chips in there. That's all right. That's all right. So now I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to bring it towards me. So I'm going to just kind of pinch this. You don't have to. This is just me being weird, but it's what I do. It's what I'm good at. Being weird, I mean. All right. When I do my regular cinnamon rolls, I cut this with dental floss, and I just kind of put a piece under here and then do it like I'm tying a knot, and then it just gets me a nice clean cut. I've got nuts in here, so I don't know that that's going to play well with it on this purpose. So I'm going to cut them and put them in the dish. All With this, I'm going to and let them rise one more time before I bake them. Okay, so they're proofing, and again, proofing is just like the bakeries, you're going to find proofing ovens. Now, those are very warm saunas. It's a very steamy, and that's what bread really, it thrives on that stuff. You at home don't have a proofing oven, probably. I don't. I could have put them in the oven at about 275 with a pot of water. Okay, so I'm going to put the pot of water in maybe half an hour to an hour before so that the steam is going to start building up. Then put the bread, cinnamon rolls or anything into that oven, and it becomes a proofing oven. So I just don't. This works, so why mess with it? So while that's proofing, and then it's going to go into the oven, 375 for about 15 minutes or so. Let me just confirm that. 15 to 20 minutes, and you'll know just by the smell. Oh, the smells already. But then we're going to want to glaze them, and any kind of glaze, the easiest glaze, oh my gosh, it's so easy, and it's the hard part about it is giving you measurements. So I just pour powdered sugar and a liquid. It could be water, it could be milk, it could be coffee creamer, it could be any liquid, and then that's just, and it takes so little to make it watery. I don't want it too watery that you can't see it, but I don't want it so thick that it's like icing. But I'd go closer to that than the runny kind, but you do the way you want to. I'm just going to give you an idea of how to make it so easy. Okay, so in my bowl, I don't know, I'm not gonna really measure. What is this? This is a third of a cup, so let's say a cup. And yes, this is a very generous and unmeasured cup. Very unprecise. All right, and I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna start off with, oh, this isn't a tablespoon. This is my mixing spoon. Let me, hold on. I'm gonna do a tablespoon at a time, and I really doubt I'm gonna go for more than 2 tablespoons. I really doubt it, because it dissolves so fast. Oh, very good. It's gonna take more. I kind of like that. But I am gonna put a little bit of vanilla, so that's another liquid. It's gonna give me a little bit of flavor. So I would guess, what, 1 1/4 cup of sugar. This is 3 tablespoons of milk. And yeah, if you want it thinner, then add more milk. And then just mix. And I'm only mixing to get the lumps out. This to me is the consistency I want. I can still drizzle it with and not lose that it's in there. That's it. So when it's done and it's cooled for a bit, this will go on. Okay, so I've let them rise for about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. These are gorgeous. They're gonna rise just a little bit when I bake them. I'm gonna get brown and toasty, and all that sugar is gonna caramelize and get so good. So they're gonna go in the oven, 375 for about 20 minutes. Okay, they're ready, and they smell amazing. Let's go look. Oh, great color. Can you smell it? Smell it. I know. That's it. I'm gonna let them sit here for about 5 minutes just so that they kind of hold their shape. I ended up putting another, well, not quite a tablespoon more milk in here to get it creamy. After this sits for a few minutes, I'm gonna just drizzle this on top and dig in. Okay, man, I wish you could smell this. It's better than perfume. All right, so I'm just gonna get a plain slice. Oh, the crust on the bread is so flaky. If I was serving the whole thing at one time, I would decorate the whole thing at one time, but I'm going to do them individually. So flaky. All right, I'm just going to drizzle some of this on. I'm going to put a couple of pumpkin seeds, and I'm going to top it with chocolate chips. Not a lot, just a few. That's it. That's the beginning of the end. All right, so that's it. Is that yummy or what? And the dough part of it is it's so light. That's hot. If you left it on here long enough, the chocolate chips will melt. That's hot. Oh yeah, bye. This is really good. A big glass of milk. Man, that little bit of chocolate chip makes it such a nice taste. That's it, guys. I'm done. I'm just done. I hope you try it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you had fun watching it. I had a blast working with you. Until next time, happy baking.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.